Hey, Arcturus here. Today, we're looking at the Helsmiths of Hashut army set. This is for Warhammer Age of Sigmar, and is effectively the Chaos Dwarves. This is launching in 4th edition Age of Sigmar, and lets you build a variety of the new Helsmith units. So here's on the back of the box. Look at what we get inside. You get a Dominator engine, an Infernal Cohort, which is essentially 10 Chaos Dwarf infantry, and then a Tormentor Bombard. You also get a hero unit for the set. This box is a little dented, but I think the pieces are all going to be okay. But let's take a look. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Let's see what we got. So here we have the Tormentor Bombard. This is also able to be built as a Death Shrieker missile. I don't think that's the correct name for it anymore, but that's effectively what it is. And here's the other side of that sprue. Nice tight sprue. Doesn't look like there's a ton of extras, even though it's a dual kit. It does look like it's made of a few larger pieces. It does have 2 dwarves who man the cannons, or dwarf the cannon, so to speak. But it doesn't look like it has a ton of extra bits, although I won't know till I get around to building them. Here we have our Lord unit. A very simple build. Looks like he goes together pretty easy. From what I've seen online, he does not actually have a profile for the gun, but I don't know that for sure. There's the other side of that. It is a shame he doesn't have a few more options, but I'm wondering if maybe at some point they'll have another kit for it, or if maybe they're just not going that way for this. In some ways, I like the simplicity of this model because it's 6 pieces. So from a assembly perspective, it's not 400 pieces for a single infantry model. Here we have the Bull Mech, the Dominator engine. I call it the Bull Mech, as you can tell, because it's essentially a mechanized bull. It's pretty cool. I guess it's a bipedal bull instead of a quadruped. This one does have 2 options, and you can build both of them out of the same kit. It looks like it has a few different options besides that for how some things go together, but maybe it has less than I think. But I think it has a couple different heads, or it looks like possibly chest plates, so maybe one of those is a back plate. It does have different belts, so you have this one here. You have this other one. I thought there was a third one, but maybe I was mistaken. Or maybe there's some other way it goes on. It does have 2 big maces. There's another one down here, which it can dual wield, or it can dual wield 2 arm cannons. It does replace the arms with the cannons, and as far as I'm aware, there is not a blended version that is both 1 cannon and 1 mace, which is a shame, I think. So the Chaos Dwarf Infernal Cohort is 3 sprue. Looks pretty simple models, which I think is pretty good, especially for dwarves. They're not very tall, so there's not a ton of room there. It is interesting that it looks like the legs and torsos are separate on some of them, but maybe that's like the sergeant. It looks a little different on these other ones, so that may just be for the sergeant. The shields are pretty large. I think it'd probably be better to leave those off, though I won't know until I put it together. They do come with swords or spears, and it looks pretty solid. I mean, not too many parts, not too many models in this set either, but this is the Combat Patrol. Just insert there, spacer, or protection thing. So you do get a nice bundle like they've been doing, relatively thick. This should have both the book and cards, and is more cardboard than you would suspect. Didn't want to open there. Yes, so a little excessive for this set, because cards, instructions, and book. And then see what's left in here is the base as well as the transfer sheet. You do get a nice transfer sheet for the Helsmiths, which is pretty cool. You get some nice Helsmith symbols, but then you also get this nice text, which is pretty interesting as well, I think, for a transfer. That will probably be... I would kind of suspect that sort of cuneiform writing there would be of interest to more than just the Helsmiths. That might actually be pretty cool for like word bearers or perhaps even some Imperial units, but I think word bearers would like that a lot. Maybe even some of the chaos for the for Age of Sigmar as well, although I'm not as sure on that as I don't play those. So you do get a nice card box. This is just a sleeve, which is in some ways I think a little better because sometimes they don't go back into the sealed ones. The seal doesn't go back in. So they do have a couple cards for the Regiment of Renown. They have Armies of Renown. More Armies of Renown. Additional Armies of Renown cards. Spell lore card. That's actually pretty nice. I think traits and battle actions and battle traits. And then the war scrolls. And I think they have, yes, they do have the spearhead cards as well, which this box is the spearhead. Yeah. This box is the spearhead, which is pretty good. I think these are all... That should be everybody. I've seen a few people playing with the spearhead, and it looks really fun. It also seems like it will be even... It will also be fun in... It also seems like it will be fun in the main game, but most people don't have enough models to be able to play that as of yet, as this is the only box released. I don't think this box was worth picking up 2 of. Maybe if you got it for like a 25% discount, I think at that point it's worthwhile. But I tend not to find the additional book and cards to be worth trying to sell, especially for a brand new army, because nobody else has the models, so there's not a ton of demand for it without the models. And often it's just kind of a hassle to sell. So I prefer not to if I can avoid that. So it looks like the hero goes on a 32. I think the ball goes on a 80 millimeter base. It has the instructions for both in it. The spears will go on a 28. And then there is a gong somewhere that goes, I guess, on a smaller one, it looks like. And then we also have the Tormentor Bombard, or... Oh, it is Death Shrieker. Okay, I thought they had renamed it to something else, but it is Death Shrieker. And... Yeah. So... I'm sure it said... And the Tormentor goes on a 100 millimeter. It doesn't look too complex as models go. I think it looks pretty good, though. And honestly, some of the more complex models are not as much fun to put together because they are just so difficult. And here we have the included codex with the... I think this is an exclusive art. I'm not 100% sure. And it's going to, of course, have some lore. It has a nice fold-out page here. That's pretty cool. Probably some cool lore on there. Some cool background for the Chorfs. Some additional details. It does have some painting here, which is nice. I always like that in the... I don't know how detailed that is. I haven't looked at this yet. But it does have the spearhead, which is the Dominator engine, the Tormentor Bombard, and then 2 5-man units of the Infernal cohort, one of which has the Gong Carrier. And then you also have the War Despot. So it is the Spearhead box. I suspect I will pick up a second one, as this is a new army and it doesn't have a ton of units, that the Spearhead will be a pretty good value and probably pretty popular on release when those finally come out, because there just aren't that many units, right? So we have a named Demonsmith Sorcerer. We have 1 of those. We have a generic version. And then we have the War Despot, which comes in this box and with the Spearhead. And then we have a Demonsmith, an Ashen Elder. And then we have 2 ranged units. This is also supposed to be a multi-part kit, so that you can build them with either blunderbusses or flame hurlers. You have the Hobgrot Vandals. And then you have the Infernal cohort with spears and blades. And those are the options there. Then you have the Bull Centaurs, which are also a dual kit. to either do the Bull Centaur or the Anointed Sentinels. And then we have the Tormentor, Bombard, and Death Shrieker, and the Dominator engine. And that is it. So, of the kits they have, this is, the Dominator engine is 1, the Death Shrieker is 2, because those are, the artillery is 2, I should say. And then the Infernal Cohort is 3, and then you get an extra hero, and that's your Spearhead. And then you have another kit for the Centaurs. You have the Hobgrot Vandals. You have the gun line. So it's an extra 3 kits there. And 2 heroes. And this guy. So not very many kits. They are a brand new army. Hopefully, like the Votann, they wind up getting some more stuff later on, because that was, for me, unexpected. I was not expecting them to get so many kits that they got the same year this came out, which is pretty cool. So hopefully in a few years, these guys will be expanded as well. I think they'll be pretty popular, as they sold out online. A bunch of the third-party sites sold out as well. And they sold out, I think, also at a lot of stores on release day for this army kit. So I think they'll be pretty popular. I think they're pretty popular in the Total War game, which is a good sign that they're going to be popular on the tabletop. And they look pretty fun to play. They don't look too broken, but they look pretty, they have a nice high skill ceiling. So there's a lot of room to grow and be better at playing these guys. So anyway, that is the Helsmiths of Hashut army set. And that is all I have for this week. I will see you in the next one.